Guess what? I still have my shitty job. They can't afford to get rid of me. What do you know? I'm lucky for that, though. I'm lucky to be on the proverbial path of least resistance. Because they need crazy bitches that work really fucking hard. They might have punctuality problems. But they need me. My manager today, he said that if I didn't come in, he was going to walk out. I know he likes working with me because I do his job. That's why most people like working with me. Do you guys like my Mad Scientist t-shirt? I look like such a fucking thug, y'all. Check this shit out. I just assume that that's what thugs are doing at all times. Oh, I'm gonna have to take a shit immediately when I light this because like I can already feel the shit in my asshole, and I know it's gonna be like begging to fall out whenever I smoke this. Dude, I didn't even get written up today. Cause like I went in and I was like, I was so sure I was gonna get fired, and they were like, no. I had disciplinary action taken because I wasn't allowed to come to work for 2 days. I guess they just figure like, well, she doesn't want to show up anyway, so we're not gonna let her come in. That's like a reward, you know? But I gotta watch myself though. Like this always happens. Where like I'm consistently late or I don't show up, period. And like I'll call them. Oh, hello, little leaf. I'll call them like several hours after I was already supposed to be there and like tell them that my anxiety is kicking my ass. See, I'm not lying about it. Like, I'm not exaggerating because I mean, I always feel like shit about it every time that I do it. Like, every time that I don't show up because of my anxiety. The thing is, I always freak out because I just imagine myself at work freaking out. And, like, I just don't want to be around people when I'm in, like, that state of mind, you know? That's, like, the worst. But worst comes to worst, I'll just cry in front of people. I mean, that ain't nothing. It's not like people even notice that I cry anyway since they're always on their phones. But I'm really, really good at crying in public. I'm really good at, like, just being very nonchalant about it, you know? Like, I'll cry while I'm taking somebody's order, wipe my face, talk to somebody. I mean, my face might be puffy or red or whatever, but that doesn't mean anything. Well, yeah, it kind of does because you have a very, very pasty white face. You know this. You hate it. Dude, I went to a tanning bed. Well, it was like my boyfriend's mom like had a tanning bed at her fucking house, and I was just bored, and I never used one before. Such a terrible idea. I was in there for like 10 minutes, didn't do anything, but I figured I'd get cancer in, you know, a better way. So it's like you can get cancer with cigarettes, you can get cancer with a tanning bed, you can get cancer from the sun, you can get cancer from a smartphone. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, I think if people actually gave a fuck about their mental health, they wouldn't be on the internet all the damn time, you know? Be like, wow, this is probably unhealthy for me to just constantly be staring at a screen. I say that I'm selective about the videos that I put up, but I'm really not. Because honestly, like, okay, so I shot these videos the other night, and so every time that I shoot a video, I always have an idea for, like, what I want to say, right? But then I end up saying a bunch of other shit. It's the same exact thing that happens when I get up on stage, only I feel like I'm a lot more true to myself right here, right now, because I'm not in front of actual people that can actually judge me and actually hate my guts. But I am self-conscious. Like, no matter what my stage persona might represent, like, I'm like not, I mean, like, I'm not self-conscious about things that people would expect me to be self-conscious about. Like, I'm like ashamed of my forehead and how large it is. I'm ashamed of my jawline and how manly it is. Like, I used to hate my eyebrows, and so I would, like, either tweeze them or I'd get them waxed or I'd shave them. They look terrible. I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know what it was, but I just stopped giving a fuck about my eyebrows. You know? I was like, maybe I'm supposed to have, like, manly eyebrows. But, it's funny. Guys can tell that I'm a girl, but girls think I'm a guy. It's because I don't act like them. But don't get me wrong, I don't hate all women. I like a lot of women. There are plenty of women in my life that I love and adore and respect very much. But as a whole, they're really not that great. And it's stupid that you can't even just make statements without people, like, getting upset about them. People make stupid ass statements all the time. I think that there's a bug in my water and I'm still drinking it. If that lets you know my level of apathy. So, yeah, like, almost had a panic attack just, like, thinking about having to, like, go into work and, like, face myself, you know, because I just thought that everybody was going to be mad still. But they thought that I was mad, you know? Like, one of my managers, like, you aren't pissed off that they, like, took you off the schedule those 2 days? And I'm like, no. Like, they were pissed off at me, and I totally understand why, because I'm, like, an apunctual asshole, you know? That doesn't have any respect for anybody else's time. So, like, I get why they were pissed enough to, like, take me off the schedule. Because I guess that's one way they can discipline you is, like, by, like, cutting your hours so, you know, your paycheck isn't as big. Like, that is a way to do it. That is a way to get people to act right, you know? Like, my manager, like, she stopped putting me on the schedule as much because I kept calling out because of my anxiety. But she's been giving me more hours. She's a sweet lady. She likes my work ethic, though. That's the thing. Like, nobody can complain about my work ethic. It's just, like, just getting me to show up. That's the hardest part. It's like, that's my problem everywhere. Just showing up, you know? Once I show up, I'm able to do the right thing, and I kind of, like, bend over backwards. Because, like, I want to, you know? It feels good to bend over backwards, you know? Like, it feels good to do loop-de-loops and acrobatic stunts, and just I feel like I pull more than my weight. That's funny there, because I'm only 90 pounds, so. What does that even mean? I pull the weight of a leaf. A twig. A teeny tiny thing. A small object. Now I'm just saying stupid shit. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to do comedy anymore. I always say that, but I feel like I need to get organized before I can do it again. And I've just been so fucking in my head that I can't get anything done. Extremely frustrating because I just keep adding. Like, I'll show you guys. Like, I started writing in this notebook like several months ago, and then like I just started writing in it again, and like I've almost like filled it up. And I do this thing where I just pick a blank page and start writing on it. Like, I don't, write in the way that I guess typical humans write. We're like, this is page 1. Then we flip it over and we write on this page, and then we flip it over and we write on this page. Like, I don't write like that. I just pick a page and start writing on it. And a lot of my stuff is just like, it's like a joke, or it's like a statement, speculation. See, I've always made these speculations. I've always, done a lot of stuff with writing, but I just never thought it was like that funny. But the very first time that I performed at the East Room, like, I got compared to like one of my idols, which was really cool. I mean, I did pretty well for like my first time. I mean, like, I didn't bomb, which is cool. That's always like what you'd expect. But yeah, like, see in the middle here, like I have a bunch of like blank pages. It's retarded. See, a lot of my stuff, like, I think it's funny because it's like, it's my perspective. So like, naturally I think I'm funny and I think I'm right about everything. So I'm like, oh, that's funny. Like, people that agree with you are going to think that's funny, but that's not necessarily true. Like, people might agree with me, but they, they're not going to like, ha, that's great that you're assassinating everybody. But yeah, like, I just realized, like, anytime that I write a joke, it always turns into a fucking rant about society. Every fucking time. And like, I feel like I don't have enough time. Like, 4 or 5 minutes is not enough time for me to be able to like say most of the shit I want to say. I mean, it sucks because I'll be like, all right, this is what I'm going to talk about next week. Like, this is what I'm going to do my setlist on. And then it just always turns into something else. And like, it's even worse when I get up on stage, because then like I have no idea what's going to happen. It doesn't matter how many times I practice it, rehearse it, recite it, in the shower, in the car, at work, in my sleep. Fucking wake up, recite my set. Don't fucking matter. If I'm in front of real people, they just fuck it up for me. See, this is a really offensive set list right here. You want me to do it? You want me to do it? Okay, I'm gonna do it. I saw a commercial for the new iPhone 8. They make this look like so scary. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the commercials for this. It's scary that there's so much power. Like, you can do so much with a phone. And I mean, people gloat about that and think it's so amazing, but I'm like, well, like, if you were like doing better things with it, that would be great, but It's just like, you tell yourself with an addiction, like what I'm telling myself right now, like, oh, you're going to accomplish so much because you smoke cigarettes, You're going to write books like Kurt Vonnegut, and you're, going to go so far, all because you started smoking again. Like, you have any idea how dumb that logic is? And it doesn't matter how dumb it is and how stupid I know I am for going back to this. I'm still doing it, right? But, like, it's just like people and their phones, like, they're like, oh, well, like, I got a GPS on my smartphone. I got, Uber on my smartphone. I got, Tinder on my smartphone. I got, Facebook on my smartphone. I got Instagram on my smartphone. It's like, there's so much, but it's like, are you, like, happier because of it? Are you, like, more satisfied with yourself and, like, where you're going in life and shit because of the phone? Because I feel like they just kind of advertise it like, it's this object of necessity, and it's really not. I promise. But I'm a hypocrite. Well, you know that you don't need cigarettes. You just fucking want them. Yeah, I really fucking want them because they're awesome. They're not really that awesome. They're all right. I'm addicted to them. See, I just started talking. I didn't even do the set list. Can't afford the new iPhone? Well, you might as well kill yourself. You know that saying, does a tree fall in a forest if nobody's around to hear it? Or whatever the fuck. Say you got a plate of ribs in front of you, and you eat them. If you don't take a picture of it, did it really happen? Who knows, man? Burning questions in my mind. I think that Americans need to have their smartphone privileges revoked. Giving an American a smartphone, that's like taking a sex addict to a brothel. That's like taking a junkie to an opium den. Try to remove a smartphone from an American. That's like taking a pacifier away from a baby. You guys like all these similes? I told myself I gotta use as many similes as possible. I shouldn't compare Americans to babies, though, because I'm really demeaning babies. Y'all are fucking zygotes. Ooh, a metaphor! Smartphone addiction is an epidemic in this prenatal country. Social media is for people that want to pretend that they have a personality and really intelligent opinions about the political system. Now, if only Donald Trump could follow your Twitter account. Why don't you go shoot him? You know where he lives. You might have to steal a gun from your conservative neighbor that you've never spoken to for obvious reasons. Oh, what? Are you afraid of going to prison? Are you afraid of being locked up in a cage with all the minorities that you claim to care so much about? Ding, ding, ding! Reality. Back to business. I got a little heated there. So, Americans are already so stupid. Why on earth would you offer them a technological device that makes it more convenient for them to stay stupid? Hey, moron, you want to not have to think about anything ever again? Hey, moron, you want to pretend that you're aware of what's going on in this shit country? Hey, moron, you want to pretend that you're real important? Hey, moron, you want to pretend that you're a passionate person behind the protective cloak of social media? Hey, moron, you want to pretend that you're a feminist and so actively participating in the patriarchal social order? I know that you're not going to take a picture of yourself buying all them beauty products. You cater to it. Don't even get me started on victimhood. See, there are plenty of people in this world that are victimized every day. And when you play the victim, just because some douchebag makes a joke about your titties, you're trivializing what it means to be an actual victim. So all those women in Africa that are getting their clitorises forcibly removed so they don't cheat on their husbands, like, they ain't got shit on you, man. If only they knew your struggle. You want to complain? Create something. Art has way more power than hashtags. See, it always turns into a rant. Like, it was originally about smartphones, and then once again, I went back to women and how I think that they play the victim so they don't have to take responsibility for feeling things. And here's the thing, you guys, because I work at a restaurant, I have to deal with sexism all the time. I have to deal with misogyny all the time. I'm used to it. I'm over it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people say about me. What matters is what I do. You know? They used to have a saying in AA, and I hated it, and I didn't agree with it for the longest time, but I understand what they meant now. What other people think of me is none of my business. What they're really implying is that it shouldn't matter what people think. What matters is what you think, you know, about how you live. You know, I know that I work harder than every fucking man that I work with. Except for the Mexican kid. He's the only one that beats me. But it's in his genes. So, like, I just get unnerved. I mean, I don't just think that women play the victim. Men play the victim too. But they do it in different ways. I mean, my manager does it all the time, and it's funny because he bitches about how other people play the victim. And yeah, he's the one whining for the most part. It's like anytime people have to do actual work, like, yeah, this is the job. That's what you do at a job. You work. You know, they act like it's just so much. I mean, I feel that way a lot. Don't get me wrong. I feel like the victim, but I know that I'm not the victim. Like, I know that I spin things in my head. And that's the thing. And that's what I'm trying to stress to women. Like, if you hate this patriarchy so fucking much, you do something about it. Like, besides just march. You know, like, make something. Because I feel like a lot of women, what they do to try to show themselves up is like, you know, they just you know, put on a bunch of provocative clothing and, you know, they get real hot, you know, and I mean, the reason why women do this is because we're trained to do this. We're trained to obsess about our bodies. We're trained to obsess about our weight. We're trained to obsess about, you know, that fucking zit on our face and, you know, like my jawline and my forehead and my chin and my yellow teeth and all that. You know, it's like I'm just as much a part of it as you are, women that hate me. I really am. But I'm saying you don't have to do it anymore. You don't have to cater to it. And I know it's not as easy as I make it sound. Because you know that, like, just recently, like, there was a woman that tried to leave her husband that was hurting her, and he fucking shot her. You know, like, there's that, you know? Like, men obviously have more power than women. But the thing is, because of that, women use, like, how society already thinks of them. They use it against society. Or they try to anyway. But they're really hurting themselves when they do that. So, I think that more women, if they really, like, want to show the patriarchy, stop wearing makeup. Stop dolling yourself up. Stop, you know, doing anything that personifies you as a woman. Like, oh, I'm a woman, so I'm supposed to do this. No, the fuck you're not. You don't have to do anything. And eventually you'll find a good man that doesn't give a fuck about any of that, you know? Who doesn't just say he's a feminist so that he can get in your pants. You know, because I've noticed that a lot of men, they do that. You're like, oh yeah, I'm a feminist. Like, I don't really think you are. I just don't see it. Like, I feel like a lot of men have dogs to try to, like, attract women, because you know how much women love dogs. And you know, they gotta talk in a little voice, you know, whenever they see a puppy because it's so cute. I try not to do that anymore because I realize that that's like demeaning the dog, you know? And like now I've gotten it into my head that I think that every dog sounds just like Andrew Dice Clay, you know? Like you guys have seen like Look Who's Talking, like Bruce Willis. He's like a baby. It's like Bruce Willis as a baby. This is an old ass movie. I think Kirstie Alley's in it. But yeah, so like I do that with dogs and cats too, but especially with dogs. But like yeah, I just assume that all dogs have the voice of Andrew Dice Clay. And so anytime that I'm like, oh, you know you're so adorable. Oh, bitch. Don't fucking patronize me. I'm just the dog. Because I'm sure they get fucking annoyed with that. Just like I'm sure that babies get annoyed getting talked to like that. Just like I'm sure that children get annoyed like when adults talk to them like they're fucking retards, you know? Do you want juice or do you want chocolate milk? Juice? Okay. I'm gonna get you some juice. All right? I'm gonna get you some juice. Dude, I see it all the time. It's like, just treat them like humans. Like, they're probably smarter than you. They don't have a smartphone. At least not yet. I mean, I'm sure they will. I'm sure there's gonna be like an iPhone for the baby, you know? One of these days, like, babies are gonna have smartphones and they're gonna be able to communicate with other babies. And dude, I've ran in so many different directions with this smartphone shit, you know? And that's the thing. When I started writing that set list, I had this idea of like where I was going with it, and I had all these like smartphone jokes that were just like so like just like centered in this idea of like the growing dependency on technology and how scary that shit is. And so it's like I'm trying to paint this picture for society. Like, yeah, this is what you're doing to yourselves, and this is going to be the eventual outcome, just to let you know. And it just always turns into another kind of rant. Yeah, but then again, it's like, what are your jokes actual jokes? But you keep using quotations that aren't really quotations. The sun went down, you guys. Did y'all notice? I didn't really notice it until now. I must be really high. Because that light looks amazing. My general manager knows that I eat weed cookies every day. My coworker, Miss Tina, she actually said to my general manager when I didn't show up the other day because of my anxiety, she was like, well, she needs to eat one of them weed cookies. Bring her ass on into work. I'm glad that nobody gives a shit. I mean, typically, like, if you work at a restaurant, unless it's some, like, you know, highbrow, everybody works there's probably a cunt, you know, kind of place, like, you know, they typically don't care if you're on drugs. Like, as long as you do your job. I wish that my mother could understand that, you know. Like, I show up for these family get-togethers. I might be high, but I still show up. Do you want me to keep showing up, Mom? Because Elvis Costello is calling my name. So, yeah. Pot really helps. Marijuana is one of the best things for anxiety. And anxiety-related illnesses and problems. Anxiety really is like a PowerPoint kind of problem because, like, if you have anxiety about one thing, you're typically going to have anxiety about other things, and it's going to build, you know? Like, throughout your life, you're just going to find more shit that triggers you, you know? And hopefully, like, you'll find more shit that, you know, calms you down and keeps you focused, on non-suicidal non-suicidal, you know what I mean. Just, I'm not going to kill myself. That's, all because I have this one thing that makes me feel better. For me, that's always been music. But, like if I'm in a situation, like, I'm at work or whatever, I have an anxiety attack, I can't just, run out to my car and listen to the Tribe Called Quest. Like, I can't, I can't just do that. I wish I could. Now, I know if I had a phone, like a smartphone, I could just get on Spotify or whatever the fuck. But I don't really like that. I don't really feel like people appreciate music better that way. I feel like, if anything, they don't. It's the opposite. Because if you can just, like, look up anything, I mean, that's amazing to be able to do that. But it's like, do you really appreciate it, though? Do you really appreciate the quality of it? Do you appreciate, like, the artistry? Do you appreciate, like, the dedication that it took to make that song or make that album or whatever? It's usually, like, one song that people listen to, or they put it on a mix, or, like, like Pandora, where you just put in, like, a band that you like. And that is the cool way. Like Pandora, that's like, you get into different music like that way. But it's just way cooler to go to a fucking record store and get judged. Like, oh God, you don't know about this band. You know about this band, but you don't know about that band. Like, I just love that snarky look. Like the douchebag behind the counter that just thinks he's so fucking cool because he works at a record store, right? That's exactly how I would act if I worked at a record store. I know. You should work at a record store. You get along with all the Grimies people. I do, but they think I'm funny. They know I'm a stand-up comedian. They think that's cool. Because, like, I go to Grimies and then, like, I go to stand-up. Because, like, Grimies is, like, right down the street from this one bar that I do stand-up at, Tin Dog. Hopefully I'll go there tomorrow night, but who knows? I really need to get more organized. That's my goal, right? That's the right word. It's a goal. It's not a very achievable goal, but it's still a goal.